It's gonna be alright, it's gonna be alright. A warning for the future. Like a low-budget, passive-aggressive Terminator. That's what I am, yeah. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my midlife crisis. Stand-up comedy, I'd have a motorbike, but I'm too scared. I'd have a younger girlfriend, but I'm too poor. I would be one of those bald, middle-aged men that have an earring and a ponytail, but not a cunt. So, taking a bit of downhill language terms there, really. But very nice to be here. Yeah, I'm Kevin Caswell-Jones. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about probably my favourite subject, which is me. I come from a town called Wrexham. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, got a few Wrexham people in. Tell you a fact you might not know about Wrexham. Wrexham is now officially the obesity capital of the UK. We now sell so many mobility scooters just to the obese. The centre of town looks like a shit remake of Quadrophenia. So that's Wrexham for you. But the other bit, I'm half Irish as well. You know, my mother was Irish, proper Irish. Give you an example of how Irish my mother was. The chip pan never went cold. And some of the older people might remember this, and some of the younger people just won't really believe it. Is that my mother would never change the fat in the chip pan. She would filter it. Filter it through a pair of tights. Unfortunately, my mother used to keep wearing them at the time. Not so good. Another thing about my mother is that she was a proper Catholic, proper Irish Catholic. And when she went ex-directory, she phoned up and said, "We've got an ex-directory, too many nuisance calls. The new ex-directory number is," and it was 01978 33487256. And she goes, "The easy way to remember it is the Lord Jesus was on the planet for 33 years. I said, that's good, Mum. Yeah, so what about the rest of it? She goes, "Just got to remember that." You know, so thanks, Mum. You know, yeah, great. Yeah. So I was the youngest of four. Grew up in the 70s. Hairdos were shit. Obviously better than this one. But they shit in the 70s, and clothes were shitter. And being the youngest of four, all my clothes were hand-me-downs. Anyone else that used to happen to? Yeah? Bad news if you've only got sisters, ladies and gentlemen. Shit, isn't it? So when I'm not doing this, I'm a nurse by profession. That's my day job. I'm a nurse. Don't call me a male nurse. That's not really necessary, is it, ladies and gentlemen? You wouldn't say, look at that wrinkly scrotum, would you? You don't need to say a male nurse, you know? I'm clearly a male. I'm bald, I've got a beard. That's normally a giveaway that you're a male, isn't it? Yeah? Although we've never been to Hollywell. Anyone's guess, but I like to be a nice person. I think I'm a decent human being. You know, I'm a compassionate bloke, Peter. If you came into A&E with a vegetable lodged in your anus, again, I wouldn't give you a hard time over it. You know, only a 5 a day, nothing like that. I'm a compassionate man, you know, but there's an inner bastard inside me. This inner bastard just trying to get out. I've never, for example, seen an episode of Grand Designs without wanting the house to burn down. With the fuckers in it, you know? Oh, I hate them. Oh, I really hate them. They're all so middle class, aren't they? Middle class fucking toffs, yeah? All fancy names like Jasper and Chlamydia, something like that. Yeah. And you mark my words, ladies and gentlemen, chlamydia will be up the spout before the first advert break, yeah? And a nice bit of me wants the baby to be healthy. I'm not a monster. But please let it be ugly. Better still, ginger. A little bit more about me. I'm never really going to be a stylish man, am I? I'm 53. The person that will live to be 150 years old has apparently already been born. Now that disturbs me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get to feel 3 times as shitty as this. You know? So pretty bad news, but even more disturbing is what's going to happen to my testicles. So at 53, I already tucked lefty into my sock. You know? And that's not all. You know? I'm now sporting pubic hair so luxurious. My willy does a decent impression of Cousin It off the Addams Family. It's rubbish being 53. I can't be stylish. I can't get decent clothes. I can't get decent glasses. I've never owned a pair of glasses that just make me look like a nonce. And I tested out Glasses Direct's no quibble refund policy by putting the reason for return box. These make me look like I belong in the sex offenders register. And they just gave me my money back, the bastards. Yeah. Anyone in on the sex offenders register? Yeah. So I'm never going to be a stylish man. I can't grow a beard any bigger than this without looking a dead ringer for serial killer Harold Shipman, which is not really the greatest look in my profession, is it? But worst of all is clothes. You know, Sainsbury's man it is. My wife buys most of my clothes. I'm colourblind for starters, so I can't really be trusted to get a decent outfit together. You know, it's all right. I'll live with that. But the worst thing being colourblind is that people start to ask a couple of stupid questions. I mean, the first one that you'll always get is, oh yeah, colourblind, Kev. So, what do you do when you get to a red traffic light then? Stop. You see, top from bottom, I understand, ladies and gentlemen. I'm colourblind, not a fucking simpleton. You may notice I haven't come out tonight with my fucking shoes on my head, have I? Stupid question, stupid question. But worse than that is the one that says, oh yeah, colourblind, interesting, Kev, colourblind. So, what colour's my top then? They'll do fuck the fuck off. And when you get there, fuck off a bit more. Yeah? You just asked me to do something that I've just told you I can't do. Yeah? Would you do that with another disability? If somebody said to you, I'm paralyzed from the neck down, would you say, interesting that, can you do this? So I get grumpy, as you can see, it comes with the turf. Middle-aged grumpiness, but it's the world I live in I no longer understand. I'm forever getting advice that I don't need. I mean, on the motorway earlier on, for example, on the gantry, it says, drive carefully. Well, thanks very much. Because there's me. Serving suggestion. I know how Cocoa Pops work. You see, when I moved into my house as well, an old house, I've got this hot air gun, you know this sort of thing, strips paint, blows out air 800 degrees centigrade. Yeah? First instruction, must never be used as a hairdryer. Of course, I wish I'd read that one a bit more. But I don't understand the world I live in, ladies and gentlemen. You know, there's advice I don't need, there's help that I don't need. For instance, in the toilets, probably the same with the ladies, a hand dryer with a light on it. Like we don't know where our hands are. We always managed before, do we, without a light? You know, we don't need a light everywhere. I haven't got a light on the end of my fork to eat my tea properly, have I? I occasionally have sex with my wife. She hasn't got her vagina lit up. Couldn't afford the electricity for a start. So the level is there. Good, yeah. It's weird, isn't it? You know, until you get to my age, you realise that people talk about bollocks. And you start to understand when people say something, they might just mean something else. So a great example would be, I'm not racist, but. You know? It's normally someone not a million miles off Himmler, is it? People will say things like, I like to be busy, and they're always the laziest fucker on the payroll. We all know someone like that, but the one that really, really gets me, I hear on a daily basis, drives me nuts, is, I apologise. It's not the same as being sorry, is it? I apologise means something different. It means you've been caught. It's not the same as being sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It means you've been caught. If my wife caught me nuts deep in her sister, just saying I apologise for any distress or inconvenience wouldn't really cut the mustard, really, to be honest, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, not least of all, her sister died 2 years ago. Makes that a little bit more awkward, doesn't it? But listen, it would be easy for me to stand here in front of you and make fun of my long-suffering wife. That would be easy, it would be lazy, it would be crass, it would be disingenuous. So let's go. Now I should be out, she's back. My wife is everything that I'm not. She is just about perfect, but not perfect enough for me to spend a few minutes taking the piss at her, you know. I've kind of got to do that. I mean, the things that would lead to mind to take the piss at my wife would be, she never admits culpability for anything. In 30 years of marriage, she's never said sorry. She's never been wrong. I know that sounds like most people's wife. But she's never said sorry for anything. Now, my wife, she likes to knit and sew and dressmaking, curtains and craft and all these kind of things. It really is, everywhere you look in our house is material, there's sewing gear, knitting needles, the full Monty, everything, you know. My wife actually owns a spinning wheel. Seriously. Yeah, it's like being married to Rumpelstiltskin, ladies and gentlemen. It's like that. But once I walked into the living room and my wife's sitting there on the sofa sewing something, making a quilt or something like that. She's got a pin cushion on one arm of the chair. She's got a biscuit tin full of needles on the other one. And I step on something really, really fucking painful. Yeah? So, looked at my foot, pulled a needle out of it, and looked at her. Couldn't believe my eyes. And she looked me straight in the eye and said, "That's got nothing to do with me." It's a great defence, isn't it? Yeah, great defence, isn't it? Now, another thing that annoys me about my wife is I have to spend a lot of time writing jokes. You wouldn't believe it after tonight. But I spend a lot of time writing jokes, and she gets stuff like this for free, with no effort whatsoever. Yeah? She's a teacher, and she got this genuine sick note to explain the absence of Beyonce. Dear Miss, sorry Beyonce was off school. She was playing on a seesaw in the garden and she slipped and hurt her minge. I like to think it was a mingery, you know. You'll notice I haven't got a regional accent. I'm from Wrexham, but I don't really pick up accent. I haven't got much of an accent, and it's something you kind of need. If to be a good comedian, you need a regional accent. Another thing you need to be a good comedian, you need to have a bit of a funny face. You know, it's helpful to have a funny face. So, never thought of doing any stand-up there? But it interests me, a regional accent. The more I don't have one, the more I kind of crave one. So just, we're in mould now, so just a little experiment is either Bath or Bath? Scone or scone? Scone. Say scone as well, yeah. So, I like potato, you like? No, you're just being twats. The trouble with mould, argumentative. But my wife has a lovely accent. She comes from Cornwall in the West Country. She's got a lovely West Country accent. Not really the sort of accent you want to use for sexual encouragement, ladies and gentlemen. Not unless you want to hear things like, "Oh, you make me right wet!" Like shagging Long John Silver, ladies and gentlemen. Even more so since she lost a leg. Used to fantasise about sharing a bed with my wife and her two sisters till I realised it'd be like in a gangbang with the fucking Wurzels, wouldn't it? I don't think any of us want to do that. You know? So, some of this is just jokes. Some of it is just jokes, ladies and gentlemen. 25, 30 years of marriage, we're not having sex anymore, don't we, Dan? The closest I get to eroticism these days is wanking off to the Screwfix catalogue. Recognition there. So this is what I do instead of sex. Stand-up comedy is my sex substitute, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty good sex substitute as well when you think about it. In so much as 10 minutes of embarrassment. My wife never comes. And there's always a group of strangers watching. This has been so lovely talking to you. I've been Kevin Caswell-Jones. Have a lovely Christmas and fuck off.